Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. If you jump on here live here on this Sunday afternoon, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Make sure to give the video a like, a thumbs up, and if you have not yet subscribed, please do so and share the video on all social media platforms. Good afternoon, Keveron. As per just about every video I do, you're the first one on here to comment, and I really appreciate that. I always enjoy hearing from you, Keveron, and I hope your sister's still enjoying her brand new car she got a couple of months ago. But today I want to talk about night one of SummerSlam, and just like WrestleMania, I'm going to talk about night one today, and then I'll talk about night two either tomorrow or Tuesday, one of the two. I know not everybody watches it live, so that's kind of why I almost put off doing this today and doing it tomorrow. But then I feel like the ones that did either watch it live or watch it, right after it aired, by Tuesday or Wednesday, you've done thought about something else. But if you have not watched it yet, I am sorry for spoiling it for you. But the good news is I don't really do one of these 35, 40-minute videos breaking down the matches. So, I'm not really going to spoil a whole lot as far as the matches. I don't really give a lot of in-depth detail about, who did what and who looked great, who didn't, and how long the match was and all that kind of good stuff, because I want you to go see it. So even though I tell you who wins the match, I'm not really telling you a whole lot about the match itself. So I'm not going to tell you if the match is good or bad. I don't do that. I want you to watch it. But if you have not watched it yet, I apologize. Hey there. I'm going to assume your name's pronounced Puteri. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But nevertheless, it's glad to have you here on this Sunday afternoon. But we might talk about night two tomorrow, and I might wait until Tuesday so that if you, do not watch it live, I'm not spoiling that for you, because I feel like tonight is going to be the better night of the two. Triple H even did a press conference after night one last night, which he does after every PLE, and he said, hey, if you fans think night one was great, you haven't seen anything yet. So he's telling you night two is going to be really good, and I feel like that's why they only have 5 matches. I talked about SummerSlam a couple of weeks ago, and I talked about how it was going to be, 2 nights for the first time ever, and I thought night one with 6 matches would be about 3.5 hours because the matches would be shorter, but I thought night one with 5 matches would be about 3 hours. Well, last night, 6 matches was 3 hours and 22 minutes. So I was almost right on. And I think tonight will be right at 3 hours, because last night there was a couple of matches that didn't go very long. I think tonight all 5 matches are going to be at least 15 minutes, probably closer to about 20. But I think the shortest match tonight, whatever match that is, will be at least 15 minutes. Hey there, the boiled one. Glad to have you here. But last night we opened up with a tag team match. Jey Uso and Roman Reigns defeating Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Great match. And Braun and Bronson are actually a really good tag team. They look like they've been tagging together for 20 years. And then we had another tag team match, the women's World Tag Team Championships. Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair defeated Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez to become the new women's World Tag Team Champions. I have a feeling that the original plan when Alexa Bliss came back was to have either Alexa turn on Charlotte or vice versa and have them wrestle each other at SummerSlam. But then they worked so good together as a tag team and got such a good reaction from the crowd. They were like, no, you know what? We'll let these two stay together for a while. But I think the original plan was Alexa versus Charlotte. At SummerSlam, of course, we may not ever know that. That's my opinion, but that's what I think. And then we had the only match on the card that to me was useless. Hey there, Twitch. Glad to have you here, and I don't understand it. And it was pretty much just about the same exact thing as the first match they had. But Sami Zayn beat Karrion Kross. This was the shortest match of the night. It went 8 minutes, maybe. It was a waste of a spot, waste of a match. Either have 5 matches or put somebody else there, because that looked like to me just 2 guys that they tried to get on the card and put them in a match. It was useless. Then we had Tiffany Stratton beat Jade Cargill to retain the women's championship. Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre beat Randy Orton and Jelly Roll. And you can look at Jelly Roll. They said last night during the broadcast. Now, I know they don't always tell the truth in how tall wrestlers really are and how much they really weigh. They used to exaggerate it a whole lot. They don't so much anymore, because now with Google, you can pretty much get on there and find out how much somebody really weighs or how tall they are. So lying is really useless. But with an actor or a singer, it's probably a little bit harder to find, but I'm sure you could still find it. But Michael Cole said last night that Jelly Roll weighs 299, and it's the smallest he's been in years, and he looks like that's about what he weighs. Still a pretty good sized fella. Hey there, L Train. Glad to have you here, but nowhere near as big as he used to be. But you can at least look at him and tell that he's been training to wrestle, and it's something that he wants to do, because before, there's no way he could have even got in a wrestling ring, let alone wrestled. But at least he's trying, and he actually did a whole lot more than I thought. I thought they was going to let Randy Orton, work the whole match and have Jelly Roll in the corner, but actually Jelly Roll did most of the match. Hey there, L Train. Glad to have you here, even if you are only 4 years old still. Glad to have you here. Nevertheless, Jelly Roll worked the majority of the match and looked really, really good. And I give him props, because I think his music still sucks. But for him to lose that much weight, at least he's trying. More than you could say for Travis Scott. They finally quit using Travis Scott, thank God, because he was absolutely hideous. But, Travis Scott wanted to just show up and get his spot and go home. He wouldn't practice, he wouldn't train, he wouldn't listen, and they finally realized that all he wanted to do was get the fame from wrestling, but not actually put the work in to be a wrestler. So thank God they finally quit using him. Hey there, Thorn. Glad to have you here. And then we saw CM Punk beat Gunther to become the new World Heavyweight Champion, and it lasted about 5 minutes because Seth Rollins cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase, and now Seth Rollins is the new World Heavyweight Champion. And Thorne, yes I do, because I don't want to live in a world that's all men and men only. That'd be an awful boring world to live in my personal opinion. Plus, the world couldn't go on, because if you only had men and no ladies, you couldn't have babies. So in 100 years, life would be non-existent. So I'm not really a fan of Seth Rollins. I think everybody knows that by now. I've said that numerous times, but I'm also not a fan of CM Punk. If you ask me which one I'd rather be champion of those two, I guess I'd pick Seth Rollins, even though I don't like him. But I think I despise him a little bit less than I despise CM Punk. But that's two wrestlers that no matter what music they use, what gimmick they have, what name they use, what they do, good guys or bad guys, that's just two men that I just do not like. I never have, and I never will. But if I've got to pick one of the over the other, I guess I despise Seth Rollins a little bit less than CM Punk. So if I had to pick one of those two to be world champion, I'd pick Seth Rollins. But if they both retired tomorrow, I'd be perfectly okay with it. But they're trying to make Seth Rollins be the most hated guy in the company, and this new little faction they've got with Braun and Bronson is it's not working because I've said from day one it makes 0 sense, so it's not working. So they're hoping and thinking that the way to make Seth Rollins be so hated is for a guy like CM Punk, who the fans absolutely adore and love, to finally win the world title after 12 years, and he gets it and then turns right around and loses it, and that's going to make the fans like CM Punk even more and hate Seth even more. But I'm not sure it works because even though Seth is a world champion now, he did cash in on the beloved CM Punk. He's still with Braun and Bronson and Paul, and it just does not make any sense. So for a lot of fans, this little faction has put a sour taste in their mouth, and until this faction ends, they're just not going to like Seth, not because it's Seth, because what he's doing doesn't make sense. Hey there, Scooby, and you are new to the channel, and you're from Trinidad and Tobago. Well, it's good to have you here, Scooby, all the way from Trinidad and Tobago, and I am from the deep, deep, deep South, which is why you'll probably pretty quickly notice my Southern accent. I don't use a lot of the Southern words and the Southern slangs because to me they're stupid. But unfortunately, when you live in the South all your life, you can't hide the accent. So I had the Southern accent, the Southern drawl. Can't hide that. But it's good to have you here from Trinidad and Tobago, Scooby. Today I'm talking about night 1 of SummerSlam, and then we'll talk about night 2 either tomorrow or Tuesday. But Scooby, I talk wrestling, NASCAR, I talk college baseball, NBA, college football, the NFL, even talk some baseball, and then I do top 10 countdowns, and some of those are about sports, some wrestling. I've done some about movies, music. I've done them about holiday spots, cars, food, restaurants, vacations, holidays. So my top 10 countdowns could be about anything and everything. Sometimes sports and wrestling, sometimes not. If anybody has any ideas on top 10 countdowns, I try to do them. If not, I usually think of one every week. I've had this channel for almost 4.5 years now, and I think I did a top 10 countdown every single week with the exception of like 4 weeks maybe. So I don't do one every week, but it's just about every week. To me, Dirty Money, the deep, deep South is, I think it's Georgia and Alabama and Mississippi. And I think all three of those states have different accents, but to me, that's the deep, deep South. Dirty Money, thank you for asking. But let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. And Scooby, again, thanks for being here from Trinidad and Tobago, and tell your friends, tell your family about the channel. Hopefully, y'all all subscribe and give the video a like and a thumbs up, and I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. But what do you get when you pick a pig's nose? Hamburgers. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.